Well, yesterday definitely was not the greatest day in the crypto market. We obviously saw a lot of red throughout the space. We saw red in terms of ADA. And despite that, we came down, we tested support, and we bounced off of it. That's great. Now it's a question of, is this going to hold by the time this video comes out? Hopefully that's the case. Would love to see us do it. Do want to actually talk about something that has throttled back very significantly from the days prior, which is a good sign, potentially leading us to that flip like we were talking about, which again, I'll discuss that in this video. But what I do want to mention as well is Glassnode found something very interesting, referencing something we have mentioned many times before. Sellers are in fact getting exhausted, but that doesn't mean it's necessarily all sunshine and rainbows. So if you guys are new or haven't already, show your support for the channel down below. Hit that subscribe button, that bell. It's free to do. It'll keep you updated anytime there's new content live here on the channel. So right now, ADA's trying to make its way. We're trying to continue to hold this structure, this big bull flag that we're printing, which for those that aren't familiar and people that are getting upset, guys, it's a bullish formation. All right. We've done these bull flags many times before. We've had breakouts to the upside many times before. And I'm not necessarily even saying that the bottom is in here, right? You could see these things carry on for quite some time, but then have just this massive breakout to the upside. What I will say here is I want to see ADA continue to hold these supports of its 100-day moving average and its 200-day moving average. Coincidentally enough, our 20-week moving average sits right below these prices. It's at about 71.55. We're at about 71.81 at the time of filming this video. If we do not hold this support, we may be on the journey for a retest down to about 68 cents. These are the prices that we touched over the course of the weekend. I believe it was Saturday that we got down there. This isn't to spread FUD or create fear or anything like that. Just understand that that's how the charts work, right? If you don't hold support, you tend to do a little bit of a retest to see if you still have support at those levels. So that's kind of what we're gearing up for on the day. Right now, BTC is actually sitting right at about 113.6 or so, still within structure there, trying to do a retest there. We may see it come down and test this 50-day moving average. We'll have to watch, wait, and see what happens there. But what I will say is we had a little bit less pressure on the crypto market today or yesterday. Now, we did get some liquidations that took place. It wasn't a huge day in terms of liquidations. For example, $264 million over the last 24 hours. It's not a sizable amount, but it is, obviously it's very much weighted towards the long side. So longs did get punished. And there was an hourly candle for ADA that we retraced like 2.5 or 3%. So that definitely sucked. But what we are doing is having to absorb less institutional selling. If you guys remember, yesterday or 2 days ago, $333 million worth of BTC sold, only $118 million yesterday. Ethereum, day before, $465 million worth of ETH sold. Yesterday, $15 million. All right. So institutional money is throttling back the selling very significantly. Does that mean our bottom's in? Not necessarily, right? We could obviously see retail capitulate, or we could see more liquidations and see that move price to the downside. But here is something that you guys do need to be aware of. This was actually a finding by Glassnode. And what they actually reported is that Bitcoin's momentum has cooled across spot, futures, options, and ETF markets, with seller exhaustion starting to appear. They warn that market structure remains fragile and vulnerable to further downside. That is what you guys do need to be aware of. So basically, what we've been talking about for a long time is sellers have been getting exhausted. You are finding less and less people that are willing to capitulate. A lot of these dips that we've seen here as of late have been bought up by long-term thinkers, right? Long-term holders. That is the redistribution from the hands of the impatient to the hands of the patient. That is why we set higher lows and higher lows and higher lows in these market structures, right? And then people get stuck chasing. That's why you set higher highs as well. So we've been going through this process of basically washing out the people that were going to capitulate, and we've gotten to that point. Guys, it isn't even necessarily my words. This is from Glassnode, a major analytics firm, right? So people like to give me crap for saying that sellers are getting exhausted. There it is. But what I will say is, like they said here, momentum has cooled just a little bit, especially in terms of BTC, right? We came rip roaring into 123K. But if you guys remember, for those couple weeks, we weren't really doing a whole lot. Even as we've dropped here, BTC is just, it's not really doing a whole lot. Okay. We need a little bit of a push across the crypto market. Now, that could be a news event. It could be a short squeeze. It could be one of many things. And when we think about this week, there's not a crazy amount going on. Obviously, we have Rare Evo. Maybe we'll get some excitement out of that. I tried to look at the correlation, and sometimes there's dumping, sometimes there's pumping, but we're just kind of stuck waiting, unfortunately. And it's a question of, are we going to see people get impatient? And that could go both ways. Basically, what we saw was longs started to get a little bit impatient. They tried to push price just a little bit too much, and they got liquidated to the downside. We've seen shorts do the same thing as well, just continue to push to the downside and then get liquidated to the upside. That's exactly what happened back here. Obviously, the drop in terms of longs happened back here. So that's kind of where we're at. We're at this basically balancing act that we have going on. And it's a question of who is going to win. All right. So yes, we are dealing with some leverage liquidations, but the sellers are running out. And that's a really promising sign for where we're headed. And maybe this takes a day, maybe it's a week, maybe it's a month. We got to just be patient, let these things play out, let the market kind of do what it needs to do. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I appreciate it as always. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts below, but have a great day. Catch you guys in the next one. Take care.